Welcome back, friends, to the shop on this very chilly Wednesday morning. It is what, December 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve, and we've got a lot of stuff going on today. So we're hosting Christmas this year. We've got 3 major projects to get done today, but today's video is going to be about getting ready, or part 1 of installing a wood stove in your shop. This will be what, the 3rd or 4th wood stove series that I've done. In every shop that I've had, I've always put a wood stove in. It changes everything. It takes it from a cold, damp, unhospitable environment to something as a place that you want to hang out with, that oftentimes your friends will come over, and just makes everything so much more comfortable. It's hard to get the gumption up for projects when it's 18, 19 degrees outside and everything you touch is frozen. Having that wood stove is everything. So today's video is going to be about unpacking it. We're going to go over, well, why I chose what I chose. We'll go over all the parts and pieces, and this is going to be doing everything up to code. Mrs. W is getting the permit right now, so of course your area may be a little bit different, but I think there's something to be learned from this that'll help you to do it, because the way the economy is going, and how uncertain the future is, having a wood stove on hand might be a pretty handy thing to have. Who knows? We could have family moving into our shops and garages, right? It's happened before. It could happen again. So let's get it unpacked, and I'll show you what we ended up with for the shop. Well, here it is. We'll get it unpacked. I'll show you what we got. Even came with its own firewood. Well, there it is, the Hearthstone Green Mountain 80. Why the Green Mountain 80? Well, we called our friend Buck, who runs the Stove Palace in Portland, Oregon. If you need a wood stove, go talk to him. He's a good guy. He's been selling stoves for a long time and really knows the business. So I called him up and I said, Buck, this is what we got. What do you recommend? He says, I recommend this one. It's the biggest one they have. So this is rated for, what, 2,500 feet? So it's pretty good size. So why steel over cast iron? So, you know, our last stove that we bought was a Hearthstone soapstone stove, and that we left with the old house, and we loved that stove. That was a perfect stove. That was a stove that ran 24 hours a day, right? That was always going. Soapstone is really nice because it puts a real even heat, and it holds heat really well. Cast iron, on the other hand, heats up quickly, but cools down quicker as well. So kind of depending on what you want, is what you want to think about, right? Do you want something, a hearth that's going to be in the house, that's going to hold heat a long time, but maybe a little bit slower to get going? Well, soapstone is really a good option for that, and it never gets like as scalding hot on the outside. Or do you want to heat up quick, like what you'd want in a shop? You want to go out there, you want it to be hot and quick and heat on demand. Cast iron's a good one. So I wanted to go with a glass front. They're a little bit more expensive to go with that, but it just gives so much to be able to see the fire and to enjoy it. My last wood shop didn't have a glass front, and I really miss that. And it's just so big that we can put 24-inch stuff in, so we can cut big old chunks that we wouldn't be able to fit in our old stove and burn in here. So that's basically it. That's the Green Mountain. So we're going to I've got all the accessories. I'll go get those now. We'll lay those out. Why stainless steel over not stainless steel, double wall, single wall. We could talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to move on to something a little bit different. Before we get to all that pipe, we've got to decide on where this is going to go. This is where I need your help. The way I see it, there's about 3 options here, and I'm going to label them 1, 2, and 3. So let me know in the comments what you think and list your pros and cons. All right. So I think it over here is for the furthest point away. I'm never typically going to be over here, very rarely, so that kind of eliminates that side of it. So the way I see it is that option one, since we're going to go chimney straight up and out through the roof with the flashing, we can see there that we have lots of options. We can pretty much go anywhere we need to go. Number one would be right here, right there to the right of the vise. It's going to be a little bit more on the right-hand side, but kind of out of the way. That's probably my least favorite. So that'll be option number, we'll call that option number one, right there to the right of the stove, or right there to the right of the vise. Another option, and part of it I think that's important is to be able to incorporate it into, all of the videos so that, it's nice. Everyone enjoys seeing a fire, and it just makes the place to seem more hospitable and warmer and nicer. So we want to have it in an area where we can all enjoy it when we're videoing as well, right? So the other option would be we could put it right there where the lathe is. Now this bench, we haven't buttoned that down yet, so we could slide that over. So we could put it right there. So just imagine it right there flush with that wall and the chimney going straight up. It'll have to be a little bit off to one side because of that big beam, but I think we could make it work. So this would be option number two, right here. It would put it in a central location. It would provide plenty of heat for the wood shop, as well as this area where I tend to spend most of my time kind of in this crescent right here. So that's option number two. Option number three, so that's 1, 2, 3, and probably the one that I'm kind of leaning to would be on this wall right here. Now, the stove with the heat shield, I think the setback is only like 5 or 6 inches, maybe 8. It's not very much, so it can be pretty tight to the wall. So what I was thinking, what if we took the 4 agile gun cabinets right there, rifle cabinets, move those to a different location, maybe over there, and put it right there against the wall. Now we have a nice easy access that the chimney can go up there. We have it in a central location where it is going to heat the wood shop, as well as over here where I typically work. It's not really, you don't have to be close to the stove. This is big enough. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very comfortable in here no matter what part of the stove or the shop you're in. But a big portion of it is just dealing with it and being able to load it and having space for wood and that sort of thing. So this would be space number one. And what might end up happening is that I've kind of been getting to know some local guys around here, and we kind of wanted to get together once a month just to kind of hang out and just keep an eye on what's going on, right? And come up with plans for different things. Might be nice to be able to just grab that bench right there with the forklift, just move it out of the way, and have that more of kind of a sitting area or kind of a conference area for those, if we had those meetings. And then the stove would be right there and we could enjoy that. So that's, you can probably tell it's kind of where I'm leaning. So let me know. That's option number one is right there to the right of the vise. Put that in the comment, explain why you think that's best. Number two, move the bench over where the lathe is, a good central spot as well. And number three, against the wall, and moving the agile cabinets. All right, let's bring in the pipe. 8-inch pipe, that's big stuff. You don't see that very much anymore. Most of the stuff that you see now, or I think the last stuff we've always put up has been 5 or 6 inch. So this will be the interior pipe. Now this is a double wall pipe. It's got a stainless steel liner on the inside. This is about as good as the guy can get. This will last forever. And having that double layer helps it draft better. It insulates, it keeps that flue a consistent temperature, and you've got these vents in here, so there's a lot of surface area. This is really good. This is the third installation I've used with this pipe, with a stainless steel liner and then the black outside. Now, when we transition through the roof, we're going to go to full stainless, and I'll grab that stuff now. For everything outside of the roof line, we'll use the double stainless steel. This stuff is really, really good. It's a double insulated. You can get it pretty close to framing. I think it's 2 inches. I'll have to check the code and all that, but I believe it's 2 inches of space between it. So you can put it in really tight areas. And the fact that it's double stainless steel means it's never going to corrode or go bad on you. It's just going to last forever. Now, it came to mind that some of you might take issue with the fact, or take me to task with the fact that I purchased a wood stove from Vermont, which is obviously made by East Coast man. But you may forget that I have given Vermont official West Coast status, so we're all good here. So Vermonters are West Coast people, so they make really good stoves, and I've never met a Vermonter that I didn't like. So that's kind of a bit of a workaround we got for that the whole East Coast debacle. All right, let me show you the flashing piece and the cap, because they're kind of cool. Boy, that 8-inch pipe is big stuff. Okay. So once we get through the roof, we have a clamp. I'll do the videos on the full install. It'll make more sense when we get going here. But this is a leaded, it's like a giant roof vent for plumbing, but it's got lead in the edges there, so you can conform it around the metal, and then use some sort of adhesive. I'll have to see what the spec or manufacturer specs out. But this is a high heat rated rubber that can take any heat, even from the big insulated pipe. So that will seal it off, and then we'll have a storm collar, which goes on there, as well as a nice stainless steel cap. And right there, stainless steel, because the creosote and smoke and everything, it's pretty corrosive, right? And when you have something that's heating and cooling all the time, and it's in a wet environment like the Pacific Northwest, it's just a perfect recipe for corrosion. So the stainless steel won't do that. Another thing Buck did here is he puts these grates, it looks like about a 3/4 or 1-inch grate on there, for basically to any embers or any big chunks that might come out through your wood stove to help prevent forest fires. Now these will vary in sizes depending on areas. I think he said in California they're half this site, which is a real problem because they get clogged up in creosote and you have to deal with them all the time. So here we can get away with this, but this will be the final cap that sits on the top. And then the final parts to round out the kit is going to be the support, the chimney support. If you've been to ski areas, you've probably seen chimneys that go up in lodges. Then they have 2 big support rods that go down to hold it. If you live in places that have a lot of snow or high wind with these big chimneys, you need that to keep it from getting knocked over or crushed by the snow. So we have a series of these big heavy clamps that will go around this, and then those big legs will tie down into the roof and support that like we did at our last house. So that's it. So Jack and I are just finishing up unloading this. We're not going to start the install today until we get the permit application set up. People ask, permit, why do you need to get a permit? Couple different reasons. First off, we have so much exposure that whenever I do something without a permit, people call the building department on me and I get in trouble. So we have to do everything above board. The other thing, as well as your insurance, if you put a wood stove in and it's not an EPA approved wood stove, you can get yourself into trouble. They could, essentially, if you had a house fire, in the rare event of a house fire, they could not pay you or not honor that contract because you put a wood stove in that wasn't inspected and approved. So I'm not telling you what to do, but you've got to count the costs and figure out what to do on your own. So for me in this application, I just don't have any other choice than to be above board with everything. There's one other issue that Buck brought up to me. He said we may need to raise that wood stove up 18 inches. And I'll check into the code on that for shops that have, a lot of times there's propane in there. As we know, propane is heavier than air. If you have a propane tank that's leaking in your shop, it will basically go down and lay on the ground and just hang out there. And all it needs is a spark and you have a massive explosion. So the idea, I guess, from the building department is to get those stoves raised up a certain height so that if and when you do have a propane leak, it's not going to come in contact with the flame. So I don't know, but I'll find out. We'll do whatever we have to do. So I kind of need to find out before we can do that. So Jack and I are heading down to the campsite. We're getting started on the big project that I've been keeping secret, but that will be in the next video. We'll be shooting that and hopefully have this thing ready for our Christmas Eve celebration. So we're going to jump on that, and I guess that's it. So thanks for watching. Let me know what's your choice, number 1, number 2, or number 3 in locations, and also explain why. Give me your argument, and that way we can make the best decision. And because once we cut that hole in the roof, you know, we're committed. So thanks for watching. May God bless you and your families. Please keep us in your prayers, and we'll see you guys on the next video.